Professor in class. This is Giovanni. For today's presentation, I'll be going over three different concepts: natural system perspective, functional analysis, and open systems theory. Chester Bernard championed the idea that organizations are cooperative systems of individuals and sometimes groups working together to achieve a common goal, while at the same time trying to survive. This is known as natural systems perspective. The natural system perspective considers organizations as living organisms trying to survive in an uncertain and often hostile environment. This perspective directly contradicts classical theorists like Max Weber and his bureaucratic take on organizations that view organizations as machines. The standpoint of natural systems dictates that humans' needs, social relationships, and formal and informal structures shape organizations, formal in the sense of rules and authority. Authors Sir Nitsky, Milenko Testovic, and Dragan Vosenik, in their article Chester Bernard's Organizational Management Code for the 21st Century, look at Chester Bernard's concepts and his relevance and influence in today's management. They highlight that Bernard believed that effectiveness and efficiency are enhanced through formal organizations. Formal organizations are a form of conscious, intentional, and purposeful cooperation. It helps maintain an organization's equilibrium and balance while examining external forces influencing the organization and determining possible need to revise the organization to keep it alive. The manager must maintain equal inner equilibrium while an organization faces external forces. The authors clearly point out that in today's environment, organizations depend on outside variables such as investors, suppliers, and buyers, while managing employees who may not have the organization's best interests in mind. With that, the authors point out that employee satisfaction is one of the most effective ways to maintain efficiency and ensure the organization's survival. It falls upon the executive to ensure that employees' motives align with the organization's mission, championing Bernard's take on organizations being a cooperative system, as mentioned on page 191 of our textbook. Outside variables will be present in my task work. Their objectives or motives might not align with our mission statement. More than likely, it will not. Such a situation might affect the morale and attitudes of employees of the task force. It will be upon the director to ensure that the mission statement is paramount in the employee's mind and work ethics for the survival of the task force. Robert K. Morton did not view organizations as living organisms struggling for equilibrium and survival. Instead, he analyzed organizations as social structures of interrelated parts that contribute to stability and order. Merton introduced functional analysis to examine policies and practices by identifying their intended and unintended consequences and determining whether these outcomes were functional or dysfunctional for the organization. Unlike his predecessors, Merton did not propose a new management theory. Instead, he added to Max Weber's bureaucratic method, as mentioned on page 230 of our textbook. Merton and his students showed that bureaucracy is not black and white, meaning it is not strictly structured but less rigid, allowing goal displacement, and there is no one bureaucratic pattern to follow. One of the key findings in Merton's analysis was from one of his students, Philip Sesnick. On page 218 of our textbook, the concept of informal co-optation is discussed. Informal co-optation is the process of observing new elements into an organization's leadership, rules, or even mission from outside forces, such as interested parties, to avert threats to its stability or existence. In the article, Co-optation in the Management of Universities and English Colleges of Education, author Jennifer Nies analyzes how informal co-optation assisted in the survival of of College of Education in England during a time of uncertainty. Niaz interviewed and assured staff from 8 different colleges, 61 people in total, for her analysis. During the 1960s, colleges in England were attacked by the Department of Education and Sciences over issues such as expansion and training. The original stance for colleges was self-regulation for their own goals. However, such a stance was no longer viable due to increased pressure from outside forces. As such, a plan needed to be developed for their survival. To survive, the college adapted Phyllis Snisnik's informal co-optation concept instead of relying solely on their formal policies. Colleges invited local educational authority, school administrators, and community representatives into advisory positions. This strategy enabled their survival but resulted in meaningful shifts away from their original mission statements. Similarly, my proposed task force will involve multiple outside parties, including the Los Angeles Board of Supervisors, the Superior Court, the Probation Department, and the Department of Mental Health, each with its own priorities and agendas. To succeed, the task force will need to acknowledge and integrate their inputs, adjusting its mission statement as necessary to maintain stability and legitimacy. However, care must be taken to ensure that the core mission remains intact and it is not lost in the process of adaptation. Unlike Bernard and Merton's view of organization, which emphasizes the internal stability of organizations, open system theory focuses on the external factors that interact with organizations and how organizations respond to them. Open system theory tells us that organizations, as living systems, constantly interact with their external environment. Organizations receive inputs from their environment, which could be in the form of resources, people, or even information, just to name a few of them. They process that information in what is known as throughput, then produce outputs to the environment. Depending on the organization, outputs may be goods, services, or even policies. Outside of inputs, throughputs, and outputs, the other key features are feedback loops, equifinity, and adaptation, and interdependence. The literature for system theory is extensive, as mentioned in our textbook. However, the portion that stood out to me the most was and is relevant to my fast task force was found on page 252 through 253. Those pages introduce us to Tom Burns and mechanistic and organic management system. A mechanistic system is a rigid, rule-bound system best suited for stable environments with routine tasks such as the DMV. Organic systems is more flexible, decentralized, and built to be more adapted to outside influences, making it more appropriate for my task force. Authors Don Hellriegel and John W. Solomon Jr. provide insight to managers when choosing mechanistic or organic designs in their article, Organizational Design, a contingency approach, a model for organic management design. They emphasize that no single organizational framework works best in all situations, but instead, a design that fits best between the structure and the environment should be taken. They provide a detailed outline of 4 different quadrants an organization may fit into to assist in this. Depending on where they land, meaning which quadrant, a manager may choose either a mechanistic or organic approach. If an organization falls under quadrants 1 and 2, for example, a mechanistic fits best. And if they fit in 3 and 4, an organic or a hybrid model will work. Holbrink and Solcom also identify 4 key variables that assist the reader in deciding on which approach to take. Those key variables are environmental uncertainty, technology, size/complexity, and goal/strategy. For my task force, I believe open systems theory will work best. The success of the task force will depend on the input of many different people and departments, from the judge and probation to mental health team, and even the clients themselves. These are the inputs that will go into the task force. The coordination and casework are the throughputs, and the actions we take are the outputs. On top of that, my task force will benefit from using an organic system. We'll be working in a complex environment that deals with mental health needs, legal oversight, and social services. All things can change quickly on any given day. With so many interested parties involved and such a complicated population to serve, flexibility will be key. Here are my references for the scholarly journals that I was able to locate and read. They'll be added in my bulletin board. And with that, this brings an end to my presentation. Thank you all for listening and have a blessed week. Bye.